Guy wants to see it. All right, we're live. All right, give me a second. Oh.
Not gonna make any promises.
Does anybody have a micro USB cable?
By virtue of the fact that you are doing this.
Wait, why?
Because my phone is gonna die. All right, we're live. All right, we're live on YouTube, everybody. You can search for CPARC General Meeting on YouTube. And we got 0 viewers, which is good. All right. All right.
Can we sell our merch?
Yeah, we can sell www.org. Does anybody have a micro USB cable on?
I got
I cut those zip ties.
That's what I do.
Jack. It's like a net.
We'll use this jank power supply here. We're almost live here, David.
You said we were live.
Well, we are live. We're almost ready to go, is what I mean. This'll power it. That's the whole reason they bought these oscilloscopes. All right.
I very much expected to see that phone just fall down halfway through the presentation.
North Korea
Because
or
it's a
something.
classic. Yeah.
All right. We're live.
Good?
We're ready to go, yeah.
You sure?
Yes.
All right. I'm on. Very fun. All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Dave. I'm the CPARC Vice President, also the Emergency Preparedness Lead and Wildflower Communications Team Lead for this year. This is an informational meeting about Wildflower, which is one of the biggest triathlons in the world that happens in May at Lake San Antonio, about an hour north of here. It's been going for 1983, so about 40 years almost. And yeah, this is just to give you guys a general idea of what it's about. And then in January is when all the fun actually begins and we start doing the planning and meetings for the Wildflowers event. Here's an event overview. Like I said, started back in 1983 by Monterey Parks Department. First race had only 86 athletes. Yes.
Sorry, are you going to talk about the tower project or anything?
I'll get to it.
Okay, cool. All right.
That's later. First race had 86 athletes, and bit of confusion there. So it wasn't horribly well organized. Cal Poly's been volunteering in it ever since 1985, and CPARC since the early 1990s. So this is kind of like because it's now actually run by TriCal, which is an organization that runs them. And they're actually run by another organization. So it's a bit of a political mess. They didn't have Wildflower last year due to the low water levels in the lake. And the 2 years prior, the Wildflower Triathlon had been done on the other side of the lake. And so the whole course was completely different. And so this year they revamped it and it's now called the Wildflower Experience. So they have more events like stand-up paddleboard races, as well as the normal triathlon stuff. And the main course that we're working tech support is the long course, because we have the 2 mile swim and the 56-mile bike ride. That one is mainly outside of the park, and that's the place where we don't have commercial radio coverage from the repeater that we build up. And so that's where ham radio is very critical, because we're at the link between all the athletes on the course and then net control. And we had about 2,500 athletes out biking last year, which is a lot of people to keep track of. So this is the swim start ramp. You can see kind of how many people were there. And that's kind of, they just run the ramp into the lake, circle a buoy, come back around, and then they move into the transitions area, They come up the ramp and over there is where they have all their bikes. Each one by one goes, grabs their bicycle and starts heading out of the race course. This is Beach City, i.e. where all the Cal Poly volunteers work. And notice I said Cal Poly and not Cal Poly Amateur Radio Club, because we're kind of two different groups. Cal Poly is a lot of the fraternities and organizations on campus that do event support, like running a lot of the aid stations out around the course. Us as a ham radio team, we actually get our own campsite. We're considered part of the committee because we've been doing it for so long with them, and we've always maintained a very professional aspect to it compared to the volunteers, which I may or may not get into later why. So this is the event overview. This is the main event area where you got a lot of the runs and swims going on. And this whole blue course around, that's the long bike course. And we're providing pretty much radio support from the gate over here all the way around until they come back in for the long course bike ride. And then the more volunteers we have, the better. Previous years we've had people on jet skis in the lake. We've had people chasing runners, the last few runners on their mountain bikes. So the more volunteers we have, the more opportunities we have for fun and different positions. And the reason why we're important is these are some cell phone coverage maps, which kind of lie, because this is exactly where we don't have coverage. So they claim to have coverage. I've only found coverage in one spot, which was up by our transmitter tower, and even there, the coverage was very weak. And you can imagine 6,000 athletes and 20,000 spectators. They do bring in one cell phone tower for all those spectators, which doesn't really do much. And so we're very critical to the event. This is the event area. We have the main entry gate over there. Transitions area, this is where the swim goes on, and then they run out. Depending on what course you're doing, you maybe come up this way and then out of the gate, and then when you come back in, you actually go down this massive hill, and then the finish line is right at the bottom of that hill. And then there's just roads all over the place depending on what events and you're doing. So comms overview, this is where we come in. In the past, we've had up to 60 amateur radio operators on our team. Last year, we had a team of about 14 as we kind of were starting afresh from not having done it for 2 or 3 years, I guess. And we usually have about, is there a question? We have about 30 commercial mobile radios that are installed in rigs for like motorcycles that are doing like photography or videos for all the athletes and whatnot. We have about 250 commercial HTs that are loaned out to all the various volunteers that are not ham operators. 20 APRS trackers, so we have those on like chase vehicles, rovers, ambulances, and all sorts of things between. Last year we didn't do it because we didn't have the manpower to make it happen. If we want to, we can make it happen. This is something that is usually talked about during January and February when we have the initial planning stages. If people are interested in making the APRS thing happen, all our club alumni that are in charge of the event are more than happy to help us out with that, but we need to lead the charge on that. So here are some of the radio channels that we have. But
Could you explain what APRS is for those who
it's
don't know?
automatic packet reporting system. And to put it simply, you have the GPS antenna connected to the radio, and usually we set it time coded. They're all GPS synced, which means they're all running on an atomic clock, so they're hyper accurate time wise, which means we can afford to have each one transmit every half minute. And so we have each one set off by 2 seconds. So pretty much every 2 seconds, you're getting an update from one of the APRS trackers. And it's giving you the location of that specific vehicle on the race course or on the event site, which is very useful. For example, say you have an emergency, there's a biker that's fallen down and is badly injured, and you want to see which vehicle is closest. Instead of calling out individually each vehicle one by one, you can immediately look on the screen and see which one is closest and call them out on the radio immediately. And it just makes for a smoother event experience overall. This is some of the roles we had on our comms committee in previous years. We have committee lead Marcel was heavily involved, John Rogers as well. We have a lot of other club members such as Chris Blackmere and Kenneth Finnegan, also been in charge of comms last year. And then all of these positions are open for the taking for anyone who wants to be in charge of projects on Wildflower. So ham versus commercial, we have just one repeater that we use on Williams Hill, which gives us coverage of the entire race course. It's a UHF and VHF link system, kind of like the one we have here on campus. We have one net control station, and we have, back in the day, 60 trained operators, and that usually varies depending on how many ham volunteers we have coming out to the event. And we have three main channels. We have the VHF, the UHF, and we have a simplex talk about frequency that we use on the event site for just simple logistics, for example, communicating from people that are at the campground to net control.
What portion of trained operators are from CPARC versus from other places around there coming to the event?
That's a good question. The best answer for that is almost all of them are CPARC. It's just that a lot of them are alumni. But most of them have an affiliation with CPARC.
So will there be a commercial like radio
Yes.
presence there?
So the way it works is when we do lake visits on a few weekends leading up to the actual Wildflower Triathlon, what we're setting up isn't any ham infrastructure. What we're actually setting up is the commercial repeaters for the people that are around the campsite. Kenneth Finnegan, I think graduated in 2012. He has a commercial license, itinerant license, and all 250 of the untrained people run underneath his commercial license. And that one we use for volunteers. So for example, directors net, general logistics, security, having Cal Poly coordinators, student coordinators talking with each other during event day. And then ham radio, we have the people that are actually licensed on that. So it's a good mix of both. And the way it works together is there's an info channel, and we have a CAD system. This stands for computer aided dispatch, not computer aided design for you. And so what we do is every transmission that comes in or out of net control gets typed into this computer, and we have a server running on the event site. And so everyone who's linked into that computer sees the events going on. And so we have the commercial side constantly being linked with the radio side.
Is just the ham traffic going into the CAD system, or is it like the law enforcement stuff and the medical stuff going into that as well?
It's everything. Anything that comes through net control as traffic, either on the director's net or on the ham radio net. So whether it be medical emergencies or it be the places of athletes or vehicle positions, any information that is relative to the safety and well operation of the triathlon pretty much goes on the CAD system. And it's also useful because if something does happen, we also have written records of what happened and what actions have been taken. So it's always useful as well in case of legal situations. Dispatch wise, we have 4 operating positions. As I said, we have the ham dispatch. Years prior, we actually have 2 landing sites for helicopters. Last year we got lucky. We had no major injuries, so we didn't have to have a medevac. But a lot of years that happens, and so we actually have a channel that coordinates with the CalCord helicopters for them to land and come in and grab any triathletes that need to get run to the hospital. We have an information channel, which is just general information and updates that, for example, go to the announcer. And then we have an event channel, which is more towards events going on right around that area. So we have the triathlon, but we also have a lot of we have bands playing and events going on because there's a whole festival area. So we also have that channel that we keep monitoring. We have dispatch supervisor, which usually is one of our club alumni, stands behind us and just kind of keeps an eye and an ear on everything that's going on. And if emergency action needs to be taken, he can communicate with whoever he needs to. We used to have APRS, like I said, if we wanna make that happen this year, it's definitely an option. And we use the Wildflower CAD, which ironically is very similar to what they use for burning. And this is what we had last year. So it's pretty much net controlled. Those antennas were the antennas that we were using for the commercial frequencies. So you can see the stub's about that tall because we're using mainly UHF repeated frequencies. And then on the top we have, I believe that's probably the next 50 that we use for our radio. And then this is what it looks like for us. We have the dispatch radio, we have the laptop for the person that's running the ham side, and then the laptop for the person that's running the information/commercial side, who we all keep linked up. This is where most of our work goes into, Radio Hill. The name pretty much says it all. What happens there is each year we put up a tower, and depending on what our needs are for that year, the number of antennas and their configuration change. And each year we have a generator running event weekend, but we also have solar power and battery backup power. And so we have multiple levels of redundancy to keep operations moving. So for example, the emergency frequency never goes down, and our frequency, which is using Williams Hill, also never goes down because we're not using this radio site, we're using a separate radio site. What we want to do this year, and we're working with the Parks Department as well as the Wildflower Committee, we would like to get a permanent tower installed, of probably a 50-foot guide tower. Because what we have currently is, you can't quite tell from this picture, but this is a tower trailer. It's a tower put on a trailer and it's very rickety. And it's also not as safe as a permanently installed tower because that in very high winds can be prone to blow over versus guide towers have much more resistance to winds. And since this is a hilltop, winds can be something that we have to keep in mind. And so currently we're working with club advisors, maybe get this project moving along and get it approved by the Parks Department. This Sunday, we're having a tower removal day where we're going to be taking down a 65-foot tower in Cambria, and those tower sections are going to be going towards this project eventually. Okay.
Also, I want to mention if anybody is looking for something to do this Sunday, there's no school. If you want to sign up for our tower removal, pulling up to Cambria and disassembling a 75-foot? 65-foot radio tower. And if you want to help out with that, free food, you have to wear a hard hat.
And then this is what was down there before we installed shrub, and so we actually cleared it out and poured concrete patches. And then here you can see we have two radio boxes. These are actually traffic light boxes. So if you look at an intersection, you'll see a box just like that. That's actually where we got them from. And that's where we store all the batteries, chargers, and radios and repeaters. And then here you can see them. This is the trailer, and you can see them hoisting the tower up vertically after they install the antennas. And so this is what it looks like when the tower was raised. This was our setup for last year. We had an antenna on the top and then two UHF folded dipoles. And then here we have our repeaters. We have one event repeater, which I believe was the race repeater. We have a second one here. Then we also have a hot repeater, which goes up if one goes down, and a cold repeater, which is just a secondary repeater that we can swap out if any other one goes up. And then this year, for the first time, we also had DMR, which is digital mode radio repeater. What he's holding. And the advantage with that is that with one repeater, you could do multiple frequencies versus needing to have one of those boxes for every single frequency. So instead of having 18 of those boxes, we just have 2 of them. And then we have our main repeater that wasn't being used for DMR, for all the other frequencies like event and ops and whatnot.
So I have a question about the permanent tower site. Like if we do it, does that mean like we're gonna be with help of others designing the whole tower and what's going in that box or what?
So what's going in that box is a good question.
Yeah.
What we're currently thinking of, mind you, all of this still needs to get done on documents, and then we need to start getting parks approval before we can really move forward with any of this at the most still in the planning stages. What we're thinking of doing is putting up a weather station on top of the tower for the park service to read, and then possibly a webcam if we had internet access as well. And that's kind of how we would sell to them, because that would be added value to them for free, because it'll be work that we're doing. And then on the tower itself, we would probably permanently install the antennas that are used for the Wildflower Triathlon. And then we would probably have a crossband repeater, as coverage from Williams Hill is a little bit spotty inside the park. With a crossband repeater, we have full coverage inside the park, and then we just link it straight back to the repeater. So that would be a better way of us doing it. But like I said, right now it's all still in planning, so we haven't been able to determine too much yet.
Okay, thanks.
Then this is Williams Hill. That's the repeater that we use, UHF and VHF. Williams Hill is kind of a generic term. There's like 3 or 4 separate repeaters up there. I believe this is the one that we use, and it's the person who runs it is Ron Patterson, W6FM, a good friend of ours. And each year he actually, because this repeater is linked up to one here in Slow, which is on Mount Low, I believe. Each year he actually disconnects that repeater so that we have it just for our own use. And then in return, we give him a generous donation for letting us use the repeater for the weekend. And so that's 2010. 2011 got bigger. 2012 got even bigger. And then there's 2017. Woo! Like I said, we had a big team, and then a lot of people graduated, and now the club is starting to get built up. So our goal is to reach previous numbers again, because at that point is when all the fun really can happen. Yeah.
How much free food can I expect as a volunteer, or what free stuff can I expect?
You got a T-shirt, a really fun time, and then you also get, depending on when you're staying and what info you give them, you usually get breakfast, lunch, and dinner for Saturday if you come in Friday night, and then breakfast and lunch on Sunday. And then Sunday night for all the volunteers, we just have a massive barbecue, which is always a lot of fun and a lot of good stories.
How many hours would you say this goes on for, like, as a volunteer? Like a few days, 1 day?
So the event is a weekend long thing. It's Saturday and then it's Sunday, are the 2 main events. What Jack and I did last year, we drove there Friday evening because we had a general meeting going over safety and just general logistics. Saturday and Sunday, usually event ops meeting is like at 6 a.m. and then 7 a.m. is when like business actually starts really picking up. So usually our days start at 7 and we're done around, I think, 4 or 5 usually. But I mean, hours vary depending on how events are going, if we're ahead or behind a schedule. But usually it's just the weekend, and then if you want to do more work, we'd have a bunch of lake visits leading up to the actual event where we're clearing firewood and campsites and stuff like that, and a lot of fun goes on beforehand as well. So it's just a matter of how much time you want to put in, but there's no solid commitment, I would say.
And on the day of, so we had a group that only came on Saturday, like spent the day there and then came back, and then Jack and Davide camped out there. So it just depends on how much you're able to do or like want to do. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm curious as far as the work goes, I guess, is it just like mainly that weekend, or are people doing a bunch of like meetings and planning and all this stuff like?
That's a good question. Planning?
Yes.
This is kind of like an initial meeting to get people information. A lot of the event planning for me starts in January. It's just going to committee meetings and understanding what we want to do that year. And then after that, I think usually like late January, February is when we start having Wildflower communications team meetings. Chris Blackmere isn't here right now, but he's probably going to be the one that you guys will be seeing a lot of. a matter of personal preference. With the power project going on, when it was at its peak, we had as much as 9 different weekends where we went to the lake. Last year we only went once, so it really varies year to year on how much we're really doing. But it's not mandatory to attend everything. You can attend every weekend, or you can attend just the race weekend. It's totally up to you and how much time you have. No one obviously forces you to go off, obviously, to update schedules.
Yeah, and then, sorry, I missed the beginning, but what's the relationship, I guess, of CPARC to Wildflower?
So Wildflower started in 1983. We started volunteering for them in the early 1990s, and we've been doing a lot of communications for them. When there's for the running part and the swimming part, they're inside the lake area. We set up a repeater inside of the lake on Radio Hill, and that repeater is used for all the commercial radios. And so that's part of what we do, and the other part of what we do is for the 56-mile bike ride that's all around the lake, we don't have any commercial radio coverage, and so that's being done completely by ham radio operators and ham radio net control. And so we have a lot of responsibility in tracking all 2,500 or 4,000 people that are out on the bike doing the long course triathlon. Any other questions?
No, not for me.
Also, you should show them just real quickly the slides. I think some people just might have not seen the slides.
Which ones?
Just go
Just
click
flash
the-
through them yourself. Yeah.
Sure.
Too fast.
Oh. What was that? So that's like the start swim ramp, and then they come up to the transitions. That's the amount of people we have to keep track of on the long course. So right around here that's kind of that whole area is what we're covering, and then we have roles inside the park area as well. Let's see. Then we have those ones are the commercial radios that we use rent each year because we don't own 250 commercial radios. TriCal actually pays for those, and each year, depending on what projects we've done, we've gotten funding from TriCal for example, the APRS projects. They're always okay with funding us as long as it's a project that will bring value and better experience overall for everyone. So they're very kind and generous with the club. Dispatch, that's last year inside. That's the repeater we pretty much set up on the top of the hill.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Oops, too far. Kevin?
Are there any positions available for net control at this time, with this top leaders?
Yeah, so the way that works is probably around March, April. We figure out what we're gonna be doing for the triathlon, and we start sending out event signups. And when you sign up for Saturday or Sunday or whichever day you decide to do. And you say what you want to do. So, for example, you could be in a car as a rover chasing after cyclists. You could be a chase vehicle on a motorcycle. You could be doing net control. You could be doing a combination of all three. And when you put that in, usually Marcel and Chris and a few other people just work together, and we kind of get a schedule hashed out of what volunteer roles are going to look like.
Do you have the schedule
We
for last
just
year?
have pretty much a schedule for everyone for the weekend. Or maybe you can pull it up.
Is that it for your presentation, Daddy?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you should pull up the staffing thing from last year. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, we'd love talking about this stuff for hours. So we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, so here you can see kind of like different positions. We have all our time slots, and then you have all the positions. And so when you initially sign up on the Google Drive, you'll say what your first preference is, what your second preference is, and then we'll work to fit you in throughout the day, different in different positions, and we have people rotating through different positions if they want to do more than one thing. So we have, for example, dispatch, we have multiple people, and then we have windshield. These are all, for example, various positions around the race course that people have to fill, like run aid stations and chase and rovers for the bike ride. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and Marie, demo and junior makes it this year. But, oh, and by the way, if because I know we have a couple of triathletes in the club, it's totally fine for you to do the triathlon one day and then volunteer the next day if you're not tired, if you're down for it. Dan Malone Senior, for example, does that. He does the mountain bike triathlon, and then he also does ham radio operations the other day that he's not doing that. So don't be discouraged if you're doing the triathlon and you think you can't volunteer, because we're always open to everyone. Any other questions?
So if I want to get, say, I want to get experience with, RF system design or something, or, art like this link planning and stuff like that, and logistics and stuff like that. How do I get involved, right? And how do I get involved setting up this tower thing you guys are talking about?
So come January, once committee meetings start, I'll try and hash out a plan with Chris Blackmere about what we kind of want to do. And then after that, I'll send out an announcement. We'll probably have another follow-up meeting for Wildflower. And we'll decide on a day that works best for the most number of people. And we'll just start having committee meetings weekly or bi-weekly or however much is needed until the triathlon day. Yes.
Thank you. What if I want to get started using my ham radio license now, but I don't know what to do? What should I do?
Find this in the shack. We'll teach you all you need to know.
Where is that?
So in all seriousness, we are more than happy to teach you, if you're one of the people who took the hand cram by memorizing answers instead of actually understanding what that means. I did that. I will confess having done that. You're feel more than welcome to drop by the shack. We'll explain everything to you that you need to know to get you started on the basics. And the best way to learn is really learn by doing. I learned more things last year in the club than I did the 4 years prior that I had my license.
How can we find the shack?
It's a bit tricky right now, isn't it? You go through room 118 into the courtyard, and then it's still kind of hidden back in the corner. So the best way is for us to just show you where it is right now, because with construction going on, it only makes it all the more confusing. So we can do a shack tour for anyone that's interested. After the meeting, we can kind of show you around some of the gear we have.
I was gonna ask, would I need to upgrade my ham radio, like get a super strong antenna for this event, or like?
Why do you us use barrel fangs?
Okay. Nice.
Maybe get a better antenna like a Nagoya N701, just because these stock antennas aren't always the best. But in all reality, you can do the whole event on a Baofeng just fine. I was riding as a passenger on a motorcycle doing chase for the whole event. I was just using my UV5R as the vehicle on the motorcycle, and they heard me just fine the whole race. So you're fine with a cheap Chinese radio. Other questions?
Oh, I have a comment. So obviously, like the more volunteers or more interested people we get, the bigger and better we can make this. So like last year was, of course, it was really fun, but we had such a small team where like we were busy basically the whole time we were there.
For us, we got involved very last minute because it was kind of a small group and some misunderstandings were had.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, that's kind of the reason why we started planning early. This is usually when we started planning in the years prior, just kind of meeting and getting people interested, and then January is where the things really pick up and start going strong.
And two, so if you guys have any friends who you think might be interested, or just like let them know, because it is a really fun weekend. Like you get to camp, you get to like play with radios. You get to like hang out with people. So I would definitely recommend if you have friends who either have licenses or might want to get one. It's just a really great event.
Oh yeah, and anyone who's an EE who passed EE 111 has their ham license. So any EE major is literally more than qualified to and
It's open to more than just
Oh, yeah.
majors. I'm a mechanical engineer. So
and non-engineers too.
The more variety, the better.
The transfers don't have. They didn't take them.
Yeah, if you're a transfer, you didn't take 111, or you're not an EE major, you're CP or something, don't worry about it. We're literally going to offer a test on December 30th.
December 1st.
December 30th. December 1st. I should know. Yeah, December 1st. Literally, it's free. It's on the weekend. Come get your ham license. You can study the night. Well, don't study the night before, but you could technically study the night before. Study. And all the answers are online. There's no reason.
Resource for that. They have all the test questions for technician, general, and extra, and they actually follow you along. So if you, for example, answer a question, you get it wrong, they'll explain to you why you got it wrong, and then they'll cycle through a couple other questions and then go to that question again. This is just a great way for you to go through, learn all the material, and kind of learn all the answers to the questions for the exam. So I would highly recommend it, and it's free. What better way to study?
Do you need a general license there?
Yeah.
I'm still a technician myself. I'm actually studying to get my general license on first.
And if you pass your general, you can take the general and the extra test for free. So, I mean, you could even go up to the. Yeah, we wouldn't recommend going right up to the extra one.
Technician plus general is usually doable. General plus extra is a very big gap. This is what it usually is. All right. No other questions? That concludes the meeting. If you guys want to have a tour of the ham shack, you can free to stick around, and we'll head over there shortly. Thank you all for coming.
I think the idea of putting Governor,
Yeah.
I'm just making a comment. I think the idea of putting the crossband repeater is like something like, so we should have an antenna meeting. Yeah. So this antenna, this is what's called a dipole antenna. Basically, the way antennas like focus power, they use something called gain to as a metric of that. And this antenna has really low gain. Have you ever seen like on Amazon, they say like, oh, high gain Wi-Fi antenna? It's like focusing the power very strongly in a certain direction. This does not, and so not a lot of power is really getting radiated out of here. And when you're trying to talk to a repeater like the Williams Hill site, which is 50 miles.
I need to talk to you about what you just said.
What did I say?
About how the two antennas perform. That was not quite correct.
Okay, well, okay, we can talk about that.
Okay.
But thank you, no, thank you for your concern. No, but what I'm trying to say is, science aside, there's not a lot of power coming out of these radios. No, there's not a lot of power coming out of these antennas, and when you're trying to talk to a radio site that's 50 miles away, there's basically you lose a lot of power over that. There's something called path loss.
But it's line of sight. It'll be fine.
Not when you're in line. Not when you're not in line of sight of the repeater.
Aren't you talking to Radio Hill? Isn't that where your radio resources are? Portables? Portables are talking to Williams Hill.
Well, yeah, commercial is. Ham is only doing loads. You won't have any ham equipment on video now.
So that's gonna be very beneficial. That's why.
That's kind of why
So we have to get a new antenna?
put a crossband repeater, because some areas of the park are quite spotty.
Yes.
So it wouldn't hurt at
Are you
all,
done recording, Josh?
especially for a permanent tower.
Are you still recording?
You really should.
No.
It's a training program. I take you to some local I will, because I have a demonstration.
Oh, with the donut.
Right. Are you gonna show the propagation pen.
That's like the one meeting that I like remember because I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, we're here to serve you as your elected CPARC.
Well, have more pizza and we're gonna do shack tour shortly.
Now, what? Enough with the cookie time. Yeah? Oh yeah, Jack, nice to meet you. Oh yeah, no problem, yeah.
So.
I went in and I was like, "Are you guys?"
Oh yeah. Yeah, that room got booked. But
So-
yeah.
You have.
I'm actually curious,
students everywhere.
So, like, I'm part of a couple like different.
But we only use this for the RFID.
And they basically it's like kind of act as like a hub for like a bunch of different projects that people are doing. So I'm kind of curious because like one of the projects CPARC is doing, or is it like the main thing? Like, does the club kind of like focus its efforts toward one project, or is it like a bunch of different things going on? This is just like a club.
This is our
Yeah.
like CPARC is more of a I don't know. We do projects.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of uses for it. For example, on our satellite
We'll
tower,
do anything that's really radio related.
we actually have
Especially with templates.
Like,
We're still recording.
I'm blocking the recording.
Yeah, I don't know what it's recording, but it's recording.
I mean, we have a lot of other little projects going on.
I can name at least 4 right now.
This is our main one.
Are you guys like, are you building?
that battery.
What's the? I don't.
Not making a very good.
Beep, boop, beep, boop.
That's not business or for public. Anything other than that. It could be like no stuff, building electronics and stuff.
Well, it's called.
And so,
Why
yeah,
am
so I
I
was trying
not
to figure out
surprised?
like if I'm gonna join like a project, is this the main thing or like how much?
Yeah.
Come here, Sam's, finish up.
Hey, you want me to stop this, Jack? Jack, your phone.
Is
he? No.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Woo, that was good. Yeah, thank you.